In 1970, Brazil clinched the World Cup, earning them the title of the greatest football team of all time, in the eyes of the experts, mainly due to their exquisite and artistic style of play. This team was a source of inspiration for countless young players at the time, and still, even to this day, there's a lot of inspiration gained from that Brazil team. So I thought it's the perfect tactic to replicate in this game. Let's get into it. Brazil boasted an abundance of number 10s in their squad, influencing Zagalolo to employ a single tactic that united the nation's top talent. The striking duo of Tostão and Pelé didn't adhere to the typical striker roles. Instead, they frequently dropped deeper into midfield zones to collect the ball, leaving no dominant presence inside the box. Given the exceptional quality of their attacking players, such a traditional target was unnecessary. Tostão showcased his football intelligence by drifting into deeper areas, enabling Pelé, the undeniable star, to make similar movements. This dynamic created captivating interplays and space for all attacking players to exploit, with Pelé serving as the primary playmaker, while Tostão resembled more of a false nine role. Rivellino, primarily a left winger, possessed the versatility to play more narrowly, creating not only an overload with Pelé and Gerson, but also forming a three-man midfield with the central midfielders, thanks to his penchant for dropping deeper. Jairzinho on the right wing boasted unmatched pace, which he used to exploit the spaces between Tostão, frequently darting from wider positions into goal-scoring areas. His off-the-ball movement was as impressive as his on-the-ball movement, and he terrorised opposition defences while running at them. Goal stood Felix, while Carlos Alberto, an offensive-minded wing-back, tirelessly patrolled the flank. With Jairzinho's inward runs, Carlos Alberto often had the wing to himself, all while wearing the captain's armband. Avaldo displayed a more cautious approach than Carlos Alberto, providing excellent balance between the back four. Piazza, a ball-playing defender, was notably comfortable on the ball, a natural midfielder by trade. Brito played a more conventional centre-back role at the time, perhaps with slightly less finesse than some of his teammates, though this would be an unfair assessment. Ronaldo and Gerson operated as the midfield pivot, with Gerson adding another layer of creativity by dictating play from deeper positions. He not only orchestrated the team's movements from deep, but also showcased the vision to deliver audacious passes. Clodoaldo, on the other hand, embraced the role of a tough ball-winning midfielder, tirelessly recovering possession from his team, complementing his technical abilities. Brazil's build-up from the back was characterised by speed, not necessarily through direct play, but with rapid ball circulation to reach the advanced and creative players. They employed a diverse range of vertical passes from deeper areas, rendering their play incredibly unpredictable and difficult to defend against. So now, let's break down the tactic inside of FM23. Firstly, I know what people are going to say. Can we see some of the results? Of course you can. Here they are. Obviously, we only played the World Cup, and as you can see, we've done very, very well, actually winning it. Of course, now let's actually break down the entire thing. I do want to quickly say this is the perfect time to hit that like button below and subscribe. It really does help the video perform well and also brings new people to the channel. So if you have enjoyed your time in this channel so far, please do consider leaving a like. And if you want to even go further than this, you can support my Patreon. The link is in the description and also in the bio. Not only does it obviously help me create these videos, but also you get fantastic perks, including access to all 3 of the wonderful variants. Today, you also get early video and tactical release. You get priority in your tactical help, and also you're gonna get included in some pretty cool giveaways. We've got 3 FM copies to give away just alone, that is FM24. We've got football shirts to give away and much more, so definitely check it out. Link is either in the comments or in the description. So let's get things going then. We're going to start off with a goalkeeper on defend on the default, nice and simple. A couple of instructions on the wing back, on the right on attack. Obviously a very attacker minded fullback was going to be playing here, as we did discuss obviously in that analysis. So make sure you've got a player that can facilitate this, because it is really beneficial having one of the fullbacks actually playing like this. So wing back on attack, on take more risks and dribble more. A central defender simply on defend, on pass it shorter. A ball playing defender on defend, simply on the default instructions. So quite a calm back partnership here really, with one player obviously being allowed to be a little bit more expressive. A wing back on the left, simply on support on the default instructions, not as, you know, aggressive as the right hand sided one. Honestly, having both wing backs on that attacking duty would be too much in this default variant. Going over to the midfield, we're going to opt for that central midfield player, a very versatile role. Pass it shorter, shoot less often, hold position and tackle harder are going to be your 4 instructions that are going to be needed. Alongside of him, we're going to have a roaming playmaker on support, on dribble more, run wide with the ball, and also mark tighter. Now, you might be looking at these two and think, is that a little bit too attacking? You've got no defensive players in here. They were a very attacking and expressive team, guys, at the end of the day. So I am simply replicating it. You can see by the results we didn't concede that many goals. Obviously, we are one of the better teams. I will say, if you are playing as a weaker team, then I would recommend possibly possibly drop on one of these two, you know, to a bit of a more of a defensive role. If you're playing as a similar sort of standard, this absolutely bangs. Going forward to the front four almost in this 4-2-4. On the left-hand side, we're going to have the inverted winger on support, simply on Mark Titer. And on the right, we're going to have an inside forward on support, simply on Mark Titer. Obviously, these roles are perfect because, as discussed, they are sort of going to get into that narrow position, allow overlaps, and really create overloads, which is obviously the whole point of this tactic. Going forwards, we're going to have the false nine, obviously a role we did discuss in that intro, a very important role you do facilitate in this system. In fact, I would say it's actually unchangeable if you want to play like Brazil. And in terms of that, it's going to be a nice, simple support on the default. And to finish it off, we're going to have a Trek. I never say the full name because I always butcher it. And he is going to be simply on attack on the default instructions. And now over to the team instructions. It is going to be based off a clean slate, believe it or not, on the positive mentality. And we are now going to talk through in possession. So there are going to be a few things that are going to be quite special about this tactic. And the first one is going to be this playing out of defense phase because it works really well. We can see here an example of where we did play out from the back from a set piece into a Reina who plays it into Thiago Silva. And you can see the composure on the ball now. Just obviously play it from side to side nice and elegantly. No real pressure on the ball. And it actually results in Martinelli picking up the ball very quickly, driving the ball back inside into Neymar on the turn, and it results in a goal, so very important. We are also obviously going to opt for that overlap on the right-hand side to let Alberto absolutely thrive down that right-hand side of the field, a must-needed instruction. The passing directness is going to go down to shorter, and very nice actually, the tempo is going to be on standard, so not too strenuous on your players either. And obviously, we know what it's going to be. Be more expressive is needed. It's Brazil 1970. The players they have, you can't restrict them. In transition, there's only going to be a couple of instructions on, and that is simply going to be distributing to any of the fullbacks and the centre-backs. And alongside of this, because of their attack and talent, we actually opted for counter. And this is a great example of how quickly we can turn from defence to attack in a matter of a few passes. You can see here this absolute beautiful run coming in from Martinelli here, and it's absolutely brilliantly played from Rodrigo. A matter of 3 passes to get it to Rodrigo, and Martinelli makes the run. A great first touch, goes through, hits it, and of course scores. A beautiful counter. And now, in terms of the out of possession tab, guys, we are going to adapt to that higher defensive line. We're also going to push that higher line up to the high press line of engagement. To be honest, Brazil could even have been classed as a much higher defensive line team. But just in the game, I don't like to implement it too often when we're going into all the games, because I know you guys download these tactics and you want results. So that also plays some part of an impact on the video, which hopefully you understand. If you do want to replicate it, you can obviously boost that line a little bit higher. And alongside of this, we're going to keep with the slightly more often. So again, not that much of a strenuous tactic on your players to play in, and we are also going to have get stuck in. In terms of that attack and variant, we have obviously taken a lot of inspiration from the previous 4-2-4 tactic, as we always do, and we have just tweaked it a little bit. So in terms of the team instructions, we're actually going to change the goalkeeper. We rarely do this when we actually change between variants, but the sweeper keeper obviously a little bit more attacking. On support, on tackle harder. The wing back on the right is going to be doing what he does best, and that is simply getting involved and actually causing issues. The central defenders are going to remain exactly the same. The wing back on the left is now actually going to have one change, and that is going to be on stay wider. The Roman playmaker gets absolutely cut. We have a box-to-box because, in my opinion, box-to-boxers are actually really good, not only in real life, obviously, but also in this game, and great at attacking. As you can see right now, he's going to be on support, take more risks, run wide with the ball, get further forwards, and also mark tighter. A key reason to why, by the way, this area of the midfield is always going to be on run wide is because obviously this player here is going to sit in that pocket. So very crucial. We have a player out there to obviously sort of replace that inverted winger. Next to him, a central midfield player on support, on shoot less often, hold position, and also tackle harder. And on the right-hand side, we're going to have an inside forward on attack, on shoot more often, and mark tighter. I figured, do you know what? We've got some of the best attacking talent in the world. Let them have a crack at goal. We've got the players to do so. And on the left-hand side, it's going to be the inverted winger on sit narrower, as we discussed, and also mark tighter. Now, in terms of FM, when you want a goal, I always deploy an advanced forward, and this is still a very, very, very realistic replication of the 1970. But instead of just having that false 9, we're going to go to sort of a later stage where maybe they would have actually been chasing the game, chasing the goal, and we've replaced it with the advanced forward on attack on the default. And alongside of that, the default Trek. So a very good set of player instructions. But I mean, playing this way, guys, does have us ups. As you can see, this is a game I actually deployed this tactic in from the get-go, and it is going to be Neymar getting things going inside of 6 minutes. Obviously, this is also a tactic you can use when you are playing with much of an easier team. Let's just say that, no disrespect, as we absolutely tear apart South Africa, already 2-0 up inside of 20 minutes. We're going to put a lot of pressure on here. It's going to be Paqueta who's going to get the ball into Vinicius, and that, not Vinicius. I always butcher it. I do apologise. I got corrected on that previously. Paqueta again picks it up into Vinny, who's going to drive in the box, and absolutely, this guy here, by the way, honestly, you thought it was going to be Neymar that was going to be sort of that Pele figure. Is it going to be Vinicius? Let me know in the comments. Can you see him being this good for his entire career? Because I'm a massive fan of him. He's absolutely quality. Fabinho now over the top into Martinelli. Easy touch and an even better finish. And in terms of the team instructions, it is still going to be a positive mentality, but we have just given the team a lot more freedom, to put it bluntly. So we're now going to overlap left and overlap right. These two remain the same in terms of the directness and the tempo. In terms of the final third, low crosses, shoot on sight, because we've got players that can finish. It's as simple as that. I am not scared to have shots on goal, so that is the sort of path we're going to go down, and that is why they were so ruthless at taking shots, as we've just seen in those highlights. We're going to run at defence and also be more expressive, so really maximising the attack and outlet. In transition, just the one change today, that is going to be the addition of distributing quickly. Obviously very important if you are going to be chasing the game. You want to get the ball moving, and while doing this, we're also going to add short goal kicks, because at the end of the day, why not? Let's just get the ball moving. I'll quickly show you anyway, but not to waste your time, the out of possession tab simply remains the same. Now, almost doing a complete 360, we're now going to have the defensive variant. Obviously very important that you have this one as well for when you're defending a game or for when you're going into a game, for example. But this is a really good way of actually defending them games out when you're a goal or possibly 2 goals up. So it is still going to be the 4-2-4. We go back to that original goalkeeper on the default. The wing-back on the right now, a lot more restricted, a lot more defensively minded, simply on support. The central defender is going to remain on defend, on pass it shorter, alongside of a ball-playing defender now on dribble less, because I want him simply to pass the ball around and not take any risks. The wing-back on the left is going to be exactly the same as on the right. 2 wing-backs that, yes, they can get further forwards when needed, because at the end of the day, we are still going to break when we can, but their main focus now is to defend instead of, for example, the right-back was the main focus to really get forward. Going over to that midfield, we're now going to introduce that ball-winning midfielder role, which I did discuss in the original variant. If you are conceding too many goals on the break, this is what you want. A ball-winning midfielder on support, on pass it shorter, take fewer risks, hold position, and mark tighter. Just having these 4 instructions additionally on the tackle harder as well is going to give you a very, very strong-minded balling midfield player that is going to break up the play and really solidify this back 4. Next to him, a central midfield player is going to come in on support, on pass it shorter, shoot less often, hold position, and also tackle harder. So a very solid 2 there. An inverted winger on the left, simply on support and mark tighter. And on the right, there's going to be an inside forward on support, again, simply on mark tighter. So they've still got a bit of license to roam, a little bit, you know, cut inside action, but not as attacking as the default variant. And the front 2 are going to remain exactly the same as the default, being the false 9 and obviously the Trek on attack. So still got quite a good amount of attack and outlet. The team instructions, the big change is going to be the mentality actually, as we do drop it now down to a balanced mentality, which just makes the team a lot more balanced. That it is what it is at the end of the day. In terms of this, we're now going to have no overlap and fullbacks. We are going to remain playing out from the back because it's a thing which Brazil's simply done. The passing directness I have now actually lowered all the way to shorter, with the idea of playing a more sort of passing style of play and a more controlling way of playing, instead of just running at players, taking on players. This is at the end of the day a defensive variant. We're going to maintain with that tempo as well. We're going to add in dribble less, because this simply helps possession, doesn't really allow players just to run freely, more of a disciplined team. Low crosses is going to remain in that final third, and that is going to give you your in possession. In transition, of course, we're still going to have counter on, because we have got some of the best players in the world, so we want them to have some sort of attack and outlet. However, when the goalkeeper's got the ball, we're going to slow that pace down, bring the game to a bit of a halt, while distributing to anyone across the back line, taking those short goal kicks. The real big change, it almost looks like I've not clicked anything, it is going to be the standard defensive line, the high pressing line of engagement, and standard on the trigger press. Now, there are some things you can do if you want to be a bit more disciplined. Obviously, you can have get stay on feet, you can have get stuck in on if you want to still take the sort of aggressive side to the game. But in my opinion, this defensive variant is the perfect word is balance, despite it being the mentality, because everyone's sort of on a supportive role apart from one, and everyone's just sort of just going to be, you know, passing the ball about, running the clock down, still got a lot of attacking outlet if needed. So I feel partnering this defensive variant with this attacking one and also the default one, you have got 3 fantastic replicated 1970 Brazil tactics. So hopefully you guys have enjoyed today's video. If you have, please do leave a like, drop a little comment on what tactic you want to see next, or possibly even a rebuild. I'm going to have a big list of rebuilds coming for FM24, but enjoy the rest of your day, and I will see you in the next one.